What's up, everybody? Chester ARP Church Devotional Podcast. Clint Davis, your host. Thanks for being with us. We're going to read from Proverbs chapter 1. I'm going to begin in verse 8 and make my way down through a few verses into maybe verse 24, maybe verse 25. I'm going to focus in on fools hating knowledge and scoffers delighting in scoffing. But I want to read all of this because I think it's helpful for us, especially as we think about what God has for us here through Solomon's words in the beginning part of chapter 1 in the book of Proverbs. Hear, my son, Solomon says, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful garland for your head and a pendant for your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they some come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious goods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot among us, and we will have one purpose. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from their paths. For their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set an ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life it possesses. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the market she raises her voice. And at the head of the noisy street she cries out. At the entrance of the city gate she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded. Because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. Now, I talked about in the beginning how I wanted to focus in on this verse. How long, O simple ones, would you love being simple? And how long will scoffers delight in their scoffings, and fools hate knowledge? But the entirety of that first section I read from verse 8 down to verse 19, it talked about the enticement of sinners, where Solomon says, hear, my son, your father's instructions, and forsake not your mother's teachings, for they are a graceful garland on your head. And then he goes on and says, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. And then he goes on to talk about how sinners would entice us to follow them. The challenge that Solomon is giving to his sons and to those who would read these words after them, us being included in that, is to walk in righteousness and pursue the Lord. Remember, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The natural tendency with a person is to be foolish, is to say in his heart that there is no God. We believe that the scriptures teach us that man is sinful by virtue of the fact that he has inherited a sin nature from Adam, his first parent, his first father. That's true for men and women and children. We recognize this when we talk about children. Children are those who, we don't have to teach children how to disobey. We don't have to teach children how to say the word no. We don't have to teach children how to whine and gripe and complain when they don't get what their way. We have to teach them what is the appropriate response in a difficult situation. When we think about what Solomon is saying here about fools and those who are following after sinners, he basically says that that's the lifestyle of the immature and the unwise. Those who are immature, those who are unwise, are committed to walking in a way that goes against the Lord's will in their lives. They don't reverence Him, they don't fear Him, they don't bring glory to His name. Now, the Hebrew word often used for fool in the Bible is a word that can be translated as obstinate. A fool is one who is obstinate in his own heart, who refuses to accept that God is God, but one who is consistently and always willing to share his or her opinion about everything, and they are determined that they're going to do it their way. Stubborn, obstinate. We think about those people being those who are immature. Let's think about it in the context of children. Children, by virtue of the fact that they are young and immature, oftentimes are obstinate and opinionated. Some of them express that through anxiety and withdrawal because they're not getting their way. They get anxious, and withdraw from things. Others express it with aggressive behaviors, with assertive actions that they're taking and stepping forward with assertive actions in order to get their way. They're pushing back on everybody who's in charge of them and responsible for overseeing them. And then there are those who are very cordial and very optimistic, but they're trying to manipulate the situation to get their way in life. And one of the responsibilities of a parent is to recognize that in that child and to help that child correct his or her behavior. You know, we live in our society that says we should let children be children. We need to listen to children. We need to get their buy-in. We need to hear what they have to say. We live in a society that says we need to let people be people. Let them do their own thing. And the problem with that, according to the scriptures, especially when it comes to children, especially children of believers, is that children need to be trained in how to appropriately recognize when something that they want is wrong and harmful to them or other people. They need to be willing to understand and be trained in how to understand that what they want, they have to put themselves separate or second to what other people want. They've got to be trained to live a life that is a life of wisdom and maturity and growth. And if they're not trained in that way, they're just going to continue to move forward in this anxiety, in this withdrawal, or this aggression and this aggressive behavior, an assertive behavior. Maybe they're going to be trying to manipulate everybody around them with their optimism and with their cordial interactions with other people, trying to make sure they can find a way to get their way in this life. And we would say that people like that are immature and obstinate, and they are unhealthy, and they're not where they need to be for the betterment of society and the betterment of other people. And basically what Solomon is saying here is, with reference to wisdom, part of our responsibility as followers of Christ is to grow in our knowledge of God and the service of the Lord, and learn to apply the truths of God in our lives and recognize that it's not about us, but rather it's about the glory of God and about other people, and begin to grow in maturity and be bolder if we're anxious, be more bold if we're too bold, to be more humble and more relaxed and less aggressive. And if we are too optimistic and we're too manipulating the situation around us, we need to be more reflective and more thoughtful in the decisions we make and see the world as it really is. And all those things come from the testimony of the Bible and the application of that Word of God to our lives. I'm out of time. I hope that you're having a great day, and I hope you have a great day as we move forward. You guys take care. God bless you. I'll catch you next time.